بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Just because we have a few minutes before the Salah begins, I thought I'd share a few reminders pertaining to the blessed month of Ramadan, which has a potential to begin this evening, Allah wills it so. So what are some of the things that we should be thinking about as this month enters? We can smell the wind, if you like, we can sense the wind of the month of Ramadan. Many of us would be excited, if not all of us, to embrace the month of Ramadan. The first thing is, this is a month where we turn inwards. A lot of our life is spent looking at everything else, but we now look at our heart. What is the state of your heart? What is your connection with your Creator? And the ulama tell us, and the Prophet ﷺ was sent with this responsibility to purify people's hearts of moral defilements, of moral illnesses, spiritual illnesses. So the first thing we do is we take a deep, hard look into ourselves in terms of what are we really like. And the ulama tell us that if you know yourself, you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man arafa nafsahu arafa rabbahu. Whoever knows himself will know his Creator. So what are some of the diseases, spiritual diseases, that you need to really work on and remove or control in this month and for the rest of your life? And what are the good things that you need to enhance in this blessed month of Ramadan and for the rest of your life as well? This is also a month, number 2, where we reduce our consumption. We reduce our consumption of food and other things, but also we reduce our consumption of many other things that we would normally consume. I don't mean consuming in the physical sense, things that we consume by watching, things that we consume by listening, things that we consume by talking about. All of these things are part of our consumption, and part of fasting is to stop. It's a month of stopping or preventing oneself from certain things. So one thinks really hard about, do I really need to spend as much time doing X, Y, and Z? Can I spend more time in this month with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Kalam, which is a book that He has revealed to us as well. So reducing our consumption is very, very important. This also ties in with something that's very current, which is our impact on the environment. Do we, as we will encourage you inshallah during the month of Ramadan, do we really need to bring our cars to the masjid? Make that bit of an effort and walk to the masjid. And if we do need to bring our cars to the masjid, can we make sure that we park in such a way that I park a little bit further away, so when a Muslim brother comes later on, he gets a better parking space than me. Can you see how selflessness works there? And I'm going to park a little bit further away so that other Muslim brothers who are coming to the masjid, they get a better parking spot. This is the way of the Anbiya, that I want better than for myself, for others, rather than for myself. And who's going to do that in this month of Ramadan as well? And it's also, number 3, it's a month of sabr. The month of sabr as well, we've talked about this before. This is the month of being patient. That's we tell people when they try to antagonize us. Maybe people try and test us. We say, Inni sa'im, I'm fasting in this month, and so no longer do I want to fight and argue with you. We don't need to go on Twitter and social media and have debates with people. This is our month with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is very, very important. It's a month of patience, and all of this trains us for the rest of our lives, right? So it's very, very important. We'll all be going through this month together. In fact, the entire ummah is going through this month together, which is a great blessing for us as well. Number 4, it's also about sharpening our willpower, that we can give up bad habits, whether that's smoking, whether that's eating certain types of food. We can really give up those things if we have the willpower to do it. It comes from within the self, that I'm not going to do this, I'm going to stay away from this. At the same time, if you are, mashallah, of the disposition that you want to become tahajjud guzar, like I want to become pabadan by tahajjud, it takes willpower. It takes the idea that I'm going to sleep early tonight, I'm going to wake up early this morning, I'm going to get to the masjid early before everybody else in the month of Ramadan, and I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. This is just one example I'm giving because it's a very powerful ibadah, the tahajjud prayer, for example. But it's the month for sharpening your willpower as well. It's also the month of sacrifice. We sacrifice a lot of things that we normally enjoy and have the pleasure of enjoying. But for this month, we sacrifice these things. We leave things to one side and we dedicate ourselves to our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. And many of us, we spend a lot of time taking care of our physical health, or at least we should do. And that's very, very important as well. Eating the right type of food, making sure that you're doing the right type of exercise and so forth and so on. But also about our spiritual health. This goes back to the first point, that what is my spiritual state like? Do I pray Quran regularly? Do I do my zikr regularly? Do I come to the masjid regularly? How do I mix with fellow human beings? How do I treat fellow human beings? How do I think about fellow human beings? Am I always thinking bad about people, or rather should I be thinking about good about people and having a good opinion about people, which is called husnul dhan, having a good opinion of people. And it's very, very telling sometimes when we're talking, the first thing somebody tells you is a fault in somebody else. You say, wait, well, tell me something good about that person, because he will have something that I don't have. He will have a sifat that I don't have, that I should have. And we should find these sifat. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ did when he met the companions. He always had this ability to unveil, bring out a good sifat in people. So that's what we try and do as well. And so this is another thing that we should also be reflecting upon. Another one, number 7, is that we should spend this month solely, beyond anything that's necessary, strengthening our bond with our Creator. It's all about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else. Your zikr, your Quran, your du'as, everything that you do is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no intermediary. We don't have any religious idea of someone being an intermediary between you and Allah, direct to Allah. Right? And then this is a month where you are dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything that you do is in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the Prophet Allah mentions in great detail that who were devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was devoted and dedicated to his creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. And the final thing I guess for us in this month of Ramadan is also about the month of sharing. As much as it's about me and my connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we strengthen that connection by serving fellow human beings. And one of the ways that we do this, mashallah, is we give a lot of charity. I know in Lagos, mashallah, we always, mashallah, give lots of charity. We're at a stage now where we're sending people out to do charity work. Alhamdulillah, it's a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'll get regular messages about brothers going out every so often. That's a wonderful thing from a small community to be able to reach other parts of the globe, to reach other disaffected communities and affected communities as well. So that's very, very important to bear in mind. But also charity starts at home. So how are we looking after our neighbors? How are we looking after our fellow Musallis when they come to the masjid? Are we welcoming them with a smiling face, a gracious face? Are we feeling good and generous towards other people? Are we sharing food? I talked about a few weeks ago about this idea that because this is a new growing community, it's important that we get into the habit of sharing food with our neighbors. How many of us do that? Right? In Ramadan, this is a good opportunity to create that love, because it removes suspicion. Rasulullah also says in a hadith which gives the meaning that when you give gifts to people, it creates love between people. So giving gift between people, it removes hatred, it removes animosity, and it creates love between people. So these are some of the messages that I think we should reflect upon as we welcome the month of Ramadan. Allah accept it from us. Allah allows all, including myself, to really make the most of it. We hope that at the Musalla we'll have enough activities, especially to do with the Quran in particular, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in particular, that will keep you engaged with your Creator. Subhanallah, bihamdihi, subhanallah, bihamdihi,